Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you again for scheduling this markup, and Chairman Marino for your efforts in moving the bill forward, and Ranking Member Conyers for his bipartisan support. The amendment, in the nature of a substitute, makes several revisions to the introduced bill. Most significantly, the amendment removes the Federal Reserve's ability to initiate an involuntary bankruptcy petition against a financial institution. At the July 9th hearing before the Subcommittee on Regulatory Reform, all of the witnesses testified in support of this revision. The witnesses stated that it was highly unlikely that an involuntary petition would ever be filed, and that the Federal Reserve already has sufficient regulatory power to compel a financial institution into a Subchapter 5 bankruptcy process. The amendment also clarifies that the Chief Judge of the Court of Appeals for the district in which the Subchapter 5 case is commenced will be the person who randomly selects the bankruptcy judge to preside over the case from the pre-designated pool of judges. This revision reflects comments provided by the Administrative Office of the Courts. Finally, the legislation makes several clarifying technical revisions to the introduced text. For example, the amendment clarifies that the term agreement includes qualified financial contracts, as well as revises the short title to refer to the year 2016 rather than 2015. Mr. Chairman, we all see the deep frustration in the American people. While families are working hard to pay their taxes, far too often Washington seems to waste tax money and has proven to be a bad steward of our nation's finances. Many of us were disappointed to see $700 billion spent on bailing out failed financial institutions back in 2008. The American people should not be on the hook for the failures of bad business practices. That's why this important effort is aimed at reducing the risks of another taxpayer-funded bailout of failing banks and reducing the risks of disruption to our economy by the failure of a large financial institution. The legislation protects taxpayers by reforming the process of how banks proceed through bankruptcy. The single point of entry contemplated in H.R. 2947 is also available utilizing the FDIC as a receiver pursuant to Title II of Dodd-Frank. H.R. 2947 makes the single point of entry solution available through the Bankruptcy Code as well. Many commentators believe a bankruptcy solution to handle the failure of a large, systemically important financial institution is a preferable resolution strategy. The individuals who testified before our committee indicated that transparency, due process, impartial administration, and the precedents associated with the bankruptcy process will provide an orderly process which in turn will minimize the risk of significant disruption to the financial system and will also place the risks of loss appropriately on shareholders and creditors and not the American taxpayer. Finally, under my plan, the bankruptcy process will be handled by an experienced judge who has the expertise to implement critical decisions within extremely tight time frames to ensure the continuity and stability in our global markets. This bill is the kind of common sense legislation that I believe offers important solutions, protects the American people, protects our economy, and is deserving of bipartisan support. I encourage all of my colleagues on the committee to support this effort. Thank you, and I yield back.